who say I don't start on time. 10:35 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, right on the fucking dot.
I suffer from a debilitating condition known as atrophic chokitis.
Peter's one of the greatest depositors I've ever seen.
Trust the process. Let's go. Let's go.
I got auto matched with Levitan. This is bullshit.
If I just go the other way in that 66, I win all the money. All the money.
If I had 150 lineups, I'd win too.
Process over results.
Illuminati make a bitch go crazy. I don't know which one of these my baby. Bust down AP, crash 5 bullets in your head like KD. Bust it, bitch go bust it. And I had 10 pints with me in Russia.
Hey everyone.
There we go. GM to everyone. The greatest depositor of all time. If I don't win on one of these main slates here over the next few weeks, I might have to deposit again. How are we doing? How is the community? GM's flying. Weird week this week, right? We did the strategy show on, what was it, Wednesday for the Thanksgiving slate, and then I was lazy and I didn't book a guest for Friday, and I was just enjoying a little time off around the holidays. Hope you guys all had a good Thanksgiving, but I am ready to go on this slate. Have been diving into it last night and this morning. I think there's lots of, interesting dynamics to discuss. I think it's a tough slate, not a ton of value opening up for us. So I think, when you look at optimals right now, you are seeing a lot of balanced builds. And because a lot of the, high-end guys are super expensive. I mean, it is tough to fit in Cooper Kupp and Jonathan Taylor into your lineup. So I think we have lots of interesting things to discuss. I time to tout David Johnson. I'll leave that to Daigle. Daigle has flag planted his brand on David Johnson this week. I'm personally not going to associate my personal DFS brand with David Johnson. I'll leave that to braver people than me. I think I'm more of a Rex Burkhead guy, honestly. Win picks. You guys want me to, you just want the picks. Should we just build a lineup that we all play together? We just run, what do we have? 126 people watching, 126 lineup train in the spy. That sounds fun. Brian says some interesting GPP stacks available today. Hope you are ready to be a little uncomfortable. Yeah, you're going to have to be a little uncomfortable with some of the plays in your lineup today. I also think it's an interesting GPP week from a content perspective, just because we haven't seen the chalk have a chance to solidify quite as much. Sometimes we get, when people are focused on the main slate on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, stuff really has a chance to settle. Everyone was focused on Thanksgiving, and then there wasn't a ton of content on Friday and Saturday. So I think this week might be a fairly spread out ownership wise. When I look at the top end for running back, I'm seeing like the top 12 running back plays by ceiling, all with fairly spread out ownership. The top, wide receivers, there are a few guys that look like they're going to come in sub 10%, but it is really, really spread out this week. So there's not like any obvious leverage spots that we can just kind of, hone in on. We don't have one of those, Devonta Adams is, 45%. So we play Aaron Jones at 5%. That's not really happening on this slate as far as what I'm seeing here. Let's see here. We got Eric Z from the Club MGMI Discord here. Got 2 King of the Beach qualifying entries, 75 to 250 get through. We'll be grinding the chat for alpha. Good luck today, Eric. Good luck. Yeah, so one of the other kind of situations that we have to discuss, I think, is the Aaron Jones stuff. So Aaron Jones has the knee injury. It sounds like he really wants to play. And the talking point now is they're going to test it out in warmups and see if he's going to go or not. I think it's absolutely insane for him to play coming back from this MCL when they have the bye next week, when they have a capable backup in AJ Dillon. It does not make intuitive sense to me. And where I'm at with this now is I'm basically preloading my lineups with AJ Dillon in. My gut says that 1 out of 3 times Aaron Jones plays in this spot. 33% of the time, Aaron Jones says, screw it, Green Bay, I want to play. And they give him, 10 touches and he muddies the water with A.J. Dillon. However, I think 2 out of 3 times they say, this is ridiculous. You're not playing today. And A.J. Dillon is a bell cow back in a nice spot at 5,900 at relatively low ownership because we hadn't had all week and even all morning for that to solidify. We have just enough ambiguity in the reports. Tom Pelissero saying there's some optimism from the team. I'm just kind of not buying it. And so I do really want to build a lot of my lineups with A.J. Dillon in them. And I think the other nice thing about it is you have outs. And I see, thank you, the Holka crew is here. I see you. I hear you. Thank you guys for joining us this morning. But the other reason I'm okay to take the risk on Aaron Jones not playing is because I think there's some fairly good late swap options there. I think you can go to Darrell Henderson, who for some reason no one wants to play. It doesn't look like at 5,800. For some reason, I think people have been a little spooked by him, but a lot of the usage, Gretsch wrote it up in Stealing Signals. It was due to the blowout. He also left the game partially, I think, with an injury. So that led to Sony Michel having a higher snap rate. So I'm not really concerned about Henderson. I think that we've seen him kind of operate as their lead back in most scenarios. So that pivot is very clean. It's a 5,900 for A.J. Dillon. You go down to Darrell Henderson. And then you also have the Denver running backs. Both Melvin Gordon and Javonte Williams look good to me. Javonte Williams is kind of the sexy GPP play this week. I know Karain made him his either his cover boy or his title boy in his walkthrough, hearing more and more people saying, of course, Javonte Williams is going to get more burn after the bye week. I'm not too convinced on that, but even just as is, both Melvin Gordon and Javonte Williams project well. So I have no problem going to either of them. And I think you can kind of decide, if you want to, kind of eat maybe a little steamy Javonte Williams. Like I could see him get up to 10 to 15% in small field, or you can just play Melvin Gordon sub 5% and he projects very similarly. And, just other ideas and things that you can do is A.J. Dillon and Odell Beckham. That adds up to 10,900. And Mike Williams and Javonte Williams is the exact same price, 10,900. So that's about as clean of a swap as you can do. If you want to play the A.J. Dillon Odell mini, Aaron Jones is active, I could pivot that to a Javonte Williams, Mike Williams. It's super, super clean. Obviously, the Javonte Williams, Mike Williams side is going to have a little bit more ownership, but it is an out for you there if you need it. All right, let's see here. Let's start getting into this. Dees Legend says, Pete, who do we play at DST? Can we eat the Texans? No, I'm not eating the Texans. I think they are, it's so gross because I'm looking at Leone's ceiling projections. They literally have the highest ceiling of any defense. And they're also the second cheapest defense at 2,300. They are going to be absolutely mega owned. I think you're looking at, 30, 40, 50% in some small field stuff. I think it's going to be stupid. I think you go down if you need to save money. I think you can play the Falcons. I think you can play the Jets. Honestly, I think the Falcons could be the second, most popular defense there along with the Jags. So I'm pretty much not playing the Texans and the Jags unless I absolutely have to make it fit. I would say my favorite defenses would be the Panthers at 3,100, the Eagles at 3,200, and the Dolphins at 2,800. I also think you can consider the Bengals. The problem is I just like that game a lot. And so I've been having a lot of skill position players in my early builds. And so I haven't been using those defenses. But I think there's a lot of viable defensive plays. And as long as you're kind of living in that, 25 to 3,200 range, I think you're going to be fairly unique. Projections seem to have Ram stacks low. I'm thinking about pivoting to Cousins stacks, similar point total. Yeah, I mean, no one is going to be playing Ram stacks. Cooper Kupp is really, really hard to fit. I thought the field was going to be more excited to play Odell Beckham. There was just so much enthusiasm when he got shipped off to the Rams that I thought people would be excited to play him at this spot and this price, but it doesn't seem to be the case. Yeah, that game's tricky. There was also a report too that Stafford is still, working through injury stuff right now and that he's not fully healthy. So I think people are just a little spooked on everything. And then the stacks just aren't clean. If you want to get Cooper Kupp in a Stafford stack and then you have no money left to do other things, Higbee, Odell aren't exciting people as secondary options. My thought is, our tilt space lineup last week that finished second place, we ran it out with Thielen, Jefferson, and Adams in that game with no Cousins. And I think if I wanted to play those Viking skill position players, I'd probably approach it similarly. And I'd almost just rather do a Tyrod Taylor, a Cam Newton, and then load up without Cousins. Because Cousins is more expensive than Cam and Tyrod. He has less of a ceiling. He's not going to give you any rushing, and you can capture so much of the production via the skill position players that I don't even know if you need to mess around with Cousins there. Ink Magma, can you play Evans and grind in a stack together? Rise, play Evans, and grind. Evans and Gronk is a who I assume you're saying their upsides are both based on touchdowns. So this one was another tricky one, right? Because if you looked at projections early in the week, Chris Godwin was projecting far better than Mike Evans. There were injury concerns with Evans, but he logged a full practice to end the week. So he's good. Then all of a sudden, Silva goes on the ETR podcast and says he likes Evans more than Godwin. And it's like, damn it, Silva, just let the low ADOT, triple condom, cash game grinders pump Godwin up so the GPP bros can play Evans at low ownership. But now I'm not convinced. Now I think they might be closer together. And I am worried that Gronk is going to be pretty popular. I think he could be the most popular tight end on the slate. So I still am okay with Evans. A Brady, Evans, Gronk. I'm worried it's going to be fairly chalky as long as I think you're a little more creative. Like if you bring that back with Michael Pittman, then you're just eating the full chalk stack, basically. I think if you could find a way up to Jonathan Taylor in that build, maybe get funky with a Zach Pascal, just something to make that a little bit more unique. Someone was asking about it in our Run the Sims channel earlier, and my thought was you could probably eat the Gronk chalk in small field if you're onslaughting that game, but I wouldn't do like a Gronk, Michael Pittman mini or anything like that. I think you're just eating so much chalk, and then if that game goes off, you're probably going to need the other pieces as well. So I'm kind of reserving Gronk for, more of a game stack in small field. Let's see this. Checking up. Holden Ham, what is up, man? We are just talking through the slate, trying to get a grip on everything here. Lou says Odell Adams mini stacks are somewhat interesting. Yeah, I like mini stacks from that game. I think there's lots of little options there as far as Dylan Odell Adams. Adams is an interesting one because he projects really well, as usual at 8,600. And I'm seeing he's going to have moderate ownership, but because people aren't excited about that game, I could really see his ownership staying in check. Like I wouldn't be shocked if, he was 10, 11% in some contest. So definitely interested in Adams there. DFS Czar says Odell has burned too many people. Exactly. You know who else has burned a lot of people? T. Higgins. T. Higgins. This is finally the week that the GPP bros can play T. Higgins. The cash game grinders had gotten T. Higgins all to themselves. And then they said, you know what? We're sick of this shit. T. Higgins, you go back over to the GPP bro side. I kind of like T. Higgins this week. I mean, it's the exact same thing as it's always been. T. Higgins is 5,400. It's just instead of 35% of the field playing him, only 10% is going to play him this week. I think Denver versus LA stack is overlooked. The Chargers side of that stack is not overlooked at all. If you're saying you're going to run a Bridgewater double stack, I think that would be pretty unique. But when you look at projections, Justin Herbert to Keenan Allen is extremely popular. Keenan Allen shows up in most optimals. Mike Williams is way too cheap at 5,700. Jared Cook actually shows up in optimals because he's too low. I do not think the Chargers double stack will be unique. I think a lot of people are going to run that out and bring it back with a Javonte or a Judy. But I do think there are ways you can get unique, with that game pretty easily. I think Noah Fant is a pretty nice pivot there and will be overlooked at tight end. I do think Mike Williams is a tough one. I've been kind of debating with people whether he will get steamed or not. I feel like the narrative is really kind of set in that people are like, hey, the new reality is Keenan Allen is back to being, the alpha target getter in this offense. Mike Williams is boom bust, yada, yada. But I mean, Mike Williams was up to what was he, like 7,600 a couple weeks ago? Was he 8,100 at one point this season? I'm not convinced that, from a GPP perspective, I think the ceiling is still there. Early in the week, when I did the first look, I was like, oh, Michael Pittman's going to be 30% owned. I'm not so sure. I think people in that same range are very excited to play Michael Pittman at 5,600. I think they're very excited to play Brandon Cooks at 5,800. I think there's a decent amount of cover there for Mike Williams, but I do also think he probably has the widest range of, ownership outcomes of probably every player on this slate. Like, I could see him at 10% or I could see him at 30%. Odell Beckham is toxic. Here we go. What are your thoughts on Wentz over Brady? No one is talking about Wentz, and they're going to have to throw to keep up. I mean, Wentz isn't on my radar. Personally, I don't think he's going to make my builds. I think I'd rather play, like, if I'm making that kind of play, I think I'd rather do Trevor Lawrence. I think I'd even rather do Big Ben, which I know sounds gross. It's also just weird. Like, who are you double stacking with? Obviously, you're putting Pittman in there, which is going to be really chalky. Are you tossing in Pascal? Are you tossing in a tight end? I don't know. I think I'd prefer to just play the other options in the skill position group and then just not use Wentz. Kind of similar to the Kirk Cousins thing. Wow, we're wishing for a Quez Watkins breakout week? I didn't even know that was a thing we were wishing for. Tell us about your cover boy. I haven't seen much Hurts this week. That's the thesis of the play. We got to get the cover boy who you haven't seen that much. I do think he's going to go overlooked. I don't need to sell anyone on his upside from a rushing perspective. He had 2 rushing touchdowns last week. Did he have like 80 yards rushing? Just a monster ceiling and floor combination. And I do think at the high end, people are going to be playing Brady and Herbert. And then I think at the low end, they're going to be playing Cam and Tyrod Taylor. So I do think Jalen Hurts kind of gets lost in this shuffle. I don't think people are, thrilled to game stack this. I think you'll see some Hurts, Dallas Goedert skinny stacks, but Devonta Smith looks like an awesome play to me. At 6,400, he's priced up just enough that he doesn't project really well as a points per dollar standpoint. So I think that's going to keep him in check. We'll pull up the Sims here in a second, but Devonta Smith looks really good in the Sims relative to ownership. And then people don't know what to do with the Giants. I've been kind of debating. I'm definitely going to roll out a Hurts stack. I'll probably just roll a double with both Goddard and Devonta Smith. And I'm really waffling on whether to go no bring back or to use a Barkley or Golladay. I'm leaning toward using Barkley as a bring back. This is just such a gross running back slate. Barkley's mispriced. I think people are still kind of worried about him with the ankle being full health. So it seems like a logical spot to use Barkley. And then the other thing about Hurts is Miles Sanders is going to be fairly chalky today. And I think that's kind of nice leverage where I think a lot of people will prefer to just play that game via Miles Sanders or even Dallas Goedert and not bother playing it through the passing game there. So I do like the Hurts stuff a lot. And I think he has a really nice ceiling there. Yeah, this is a interesting conversation too. I was kind of hoping, last night that similar to the AJ Dillon situation that we would get Eli Mitchell not playing and then Jeff Wilson Jr. would open up and be an absolute smash play without Eli Mitchell. But it sounds like Eli Mitchell is going to play. They're going to wrap up his hand. From what I can tell, it sounds like he's going to be able to carry the ball fine, but catching the ball is going to be an issue. Like he's basically going to have a club on one of his hands. So, I mean, he wasn't catching a ton of passes regardless, but still, it seems a little thin to me. My guess, just based on how heavily wrapped his hand is going to be, that it will be more of an even split between Mitchell and Wilson. That said, you can tell the team really likes Mitchell and thinks that he gives them their best shot because, unlike the team kind of not wanting Aaron Jones to play, it does seem like the 49ers want Mitchell to play here. So to me, it's more of a stay away situation because I do think it's pretty muddled with both of those guys playing. And the other thing is, I like the pass catching options for the Niners a lot. And I think that's how I'd prefer to play it. I mean, Kittle looks like an awesome play to me. I don't think anyone's going to play him up at that price tag. I mean, he could catch a little bit, but I bet he'll be sub 10%. Deebo Samuel, people I think are starting to get a little worried that he can't run this hot on his efficiency. And even Brandon Ayuk, I haven't heard discussed a lot, and I think he looks good. So my lean right now is I do like that game, but I think I'm preferring to play it through the passing game. But again, this goes back to the same stuff with the AJ Dillon flexibility is you can leave spots open to play Jeff Wilson if Eli Mitchell is for some reason a surprise scratch. I mean, I think maybe, 10, 15% of the time Eli Mitchell is a surprise scratch, and leaving yourself outs to Jeff Wilson Jr. in those scenarios makes sense to me. Pat Wilhelmuth is such a good Gronk pivot. I mean, Pat Wilhelmuth is an awesome play. I think he's almost too good of a play in that I think he's going to end up being fairly popular when you run optimals right now. Freiermuth is showing up in optimals. So yeah, he's just an objectively good play. I don't know if he is going to be sneaky. People wanting to talk about the Muth. The Muth is on the Luth. I think he's a good play. Similar to the Gronk stuff, I think I will not play Pat Wilhelmuth in secondary correlations or as like a one-off tight end, but I would be happy to use him in game stacks. And I do want to have game stacks of that. I mentioned, being willing to stomach a gross Big Ben double stack. I think, playing two of Deontay Johnson, Claypool, and Pat Wilhelmuth makes a lot of sense. Or even if you're running, say, a Burrow double with Chase and Higgins, you throw the Muth in there as well. So yeah, I'm reserving him to game stacks, but he is an awesome play. T-Tid forever. Any receiver under 5% we're missing on? I mean, the guy under 5%, I just mentioned two of them. My two favorite sub 5% guys would be Devonta Smith and Chase Claypool. Everyone else in that high end, sub 10% guys, I think you can include, it looks like Jefferson, Jamar Chase, Mike Evans. I'm skeptical. I like those guys so much that I can never tell. It's hard for me to view them objectively because every week Justin Jefferson is sub 10% and then he always comes in 16%. But right now, looking at my aggregated ownership, I'm seeing Justin Jefferson around 8%. But yeah, to your question, Devonta Smith and Chase Claypool would be my two favorite sub 5% plays. Let's see here. How over-owned will Sanders be? I'm seeing around 15% right now. I don't think he's going to get steamed. I think there's so many kind of options down there. I think people are going to play some Barkley. They're going to play some Henderson. They're going to play some Fournette. They're going to play some Dillon. I don't think any of these guys are going to get too out of control. The field wants to play James Robinson. I don't know why, but I mean, people love playing James Robinson. So I think Sanders will be in check. I don't think it'll be too crazy. Large field GPP Tampa Bay onslaught. So I mean, to me, the way I think about almost any onslaught is I would want to play that in a small field GPP, because you're trying, if you're playing in the Millie Maker, you're going to need to hit, ceilings from, 6, 7 spots out of your lineup. In a small field, all you need to do is hit a few ceiling plays. So I would not onslaught in general, even the Bucks in large field. Do you ever play stacks? Yes, I play stacks. I play stacks every week. Can you play Adams and Dillon together? I think so. Yeah, I think so. If you do that, you probably want a Ram in your lineup though, right? I think you probably do. Maybe not. I think it's viable. If you think this is a really good spot for the Packers at home and the Rams just struggle on the road, I could see that. I mean, they both project well enough that I think that's completely viable. We've seen that this year with like the Henderson and Kupp stuff too, where so much of the offense is concentrated on those two guys that it's perfectly viable. So yeah, I don't mind that. Tony says, got my new hand builder hoodie, wearing it today for the games. But the house now? Bet the house now? Correct. That's right. Lots of good reviews on the hoodies these days. I saw Ben Gretsch on Twitter. His daughters and his wife have been stealing their hoodie. They are the comfiest hoodies. I was at the liquor store yesterday wearing this same hoodie, and the girl at the liquor store complimented my thought leader hoodie. So the hoodies are hot right now. The hoodies are getting major steam. Definitely want to play them in small field before they get too popular here. DJ Moore is way too cheap. So I don't know if I would say he's way too cheap, but he is interesting. I was worried that DJ Moore was going to be the Marquise Brown, the Devonta Smith, the Mike Williams, where because his quarterback is going to be fairly popular, he becomes the popular stacking option for him and then comes in way higher than his ownership. So, but that said, I think people who play Cam might just play him with McCaffrey. Just use the savings to play McCaffrey, and that DJ Moore will stay in check. So I think DJ Moore is going to be around 10%. I think he's a fine play. I think the Cam to DJ Moore versus like Tyrod to Cooks, I think is kind of an interesting, 2v2 because they're pretty similar styles of play, and they're also going to catch similar amount of ownership. Yeah, let's go over to the Sims here. Let's see what's popping in the Sims, and we can make sure we're not missing anything here. I'm going to refresh, make sure there's been no updates. Classic, DraftKings, Main, run the Sims. All right, I saw this earlier, and so Cordell Patterson, from what I've seen, is a true game time decision. We're going to find out here in about 30 minutes. The Sims have loved Cordell Patterson all year, and the Sims, like most of the time, have been very right. I have not played Patterson enough. He's going to be a good play if he's active today. No one's going to want to play him after the game time decision tag. It's kind of a gross game. He's kind of expensive, but the Sims absolutely love Cordell Patterson here. I was looking at a couple minis, and I will tell you, the Cordero Patterson, Dan Arnold mini, or the Kyle Pitts LaVisca mini. Both of those have the exact same salary cost, similar projected own, and similar ceiling. So if you want to play minis in that Jags game, I mean, both Patterson and Arnold, who I don't think anyone's going to want to play after the bagel last week, and Kyle Pitts and Visca. And I don't even know if I can have a Visca conversation. I don't know if I'm able to do it objectively. I heard Drew Dinkmeyer call us the Visca Slappies on a podcast this week. I took great offense to that comment, and I haven't quite decided if I'm going to be a Visca Slappy this week or not. But I did, as a PSA, as a thought leader, want to let you guys know about those minis in the Jags and Falcons game. I'm going with a naked Brady stack with his 4 rush TDs and 5 TD passes to himself. No brewskis for Gronk today. Sounds like, who am I to argue? Your lineups have to tell a story, and that lineup tells a story. Are there any viable pivots off of chalky Cooks versus the Jets? So you mean pivots in that game? I mean, I think if you're going to do something from that game, you're probably playing one of the running backs. You're probably playing a David Johnson or Rex Burkhead. But yeah, I don't see any pivots in the passing game itself. As Drico says, please never, ever, ever forget to smash the like button. Also, speaking of never forget, now that I have 477 of you watching right now, I forgot to promote the Deposit Kingdom GPP this week, and we need to get this thing filled. Do not make me send out a tweet in, an hour and a half or whatever trying to fill this. It looks like we're at 322 of 400 spots. So we have just under 80 spots left. I'm going to post the link here. All of you guys need to come and play in this rake-free tournament 400-man contest. Shout out to DraftKings for hosting this for us. Appreciate it. Get this out of here. Naked HD online strips without clothing. I mean, what kind of spam is that? All right. I'm trying to catch up on the chat. You guys are absolutely firing today. Renee says, why are you so scared to tweet the link, bro? So 2 reasons. First of all, I'm not scared to tweet. Who would ever be scared to tweet? I absolutely hate tweeting to fill a free league, though. It is meant to be for people who watch the streams, who hang out in the Deposit Kingdom Discord. I don't want just the rent seekers on Twitter who don't care about our community to come rent seek that EV. No, it's for the people who show up, who put in the work and watch these streams. Let's look at some of the other sim stuff, though. Obviously, McCaffrey standing out as a good play. Goddard looking like a good play, even with the ownership. Love seeing Debo up here. Jonathan Taylor, I do think this ownership around 10% is going to be about right. He is so hard to fit in that I do think seeing his optimal rate here around 15% definitely gives me more confidence to click the button on him. We already talked about Adams and Pittman there a bit. Crowder, I think, is an interesting name to bring up because Corey Davis is out. Elijah Moore has been on an absolute heater, but now we have Zach Wilson in at quarterback. The passing yards have to go somewhere. I was betting the Zach Wilson overs. I know Underdog earlier in the week, I don't know if it's changed, had him listed at 220, but you go and look at projections around, Paulson had him at like 250 yards. I'm pretty sure ETR had him over that. So the passing yards have to go somewhere. And, Jamison Crowder is going to be one of those guys he's going to get 7 to 8 targets today and no one's going to play him. And the Sims seem to agree that he's going to see a decent amount of work there. So don't mind him. Definitely not surprising at all to see this trifecta here: Godwin, Keenan Allen, and Deontay Johnson. They all project well, but you can see here they're probably being owned a little too much relative to their opto rate. Continue to love Jamar Chase. There's a little vote of confidence for the James Robinson bros. And there's our cover boy, Jalen Hurts. Love seeing Jalen Hurts showing up here 11% of the time. Kittle, who we mentioned, and there's Chenault. Chenault for the slappies. Pete, what's your favorite mini stack? Ooh, good question. I was looking at mini stacks earlier. So, my favorite mini stack. My favorite mini stack is still probably AJ Dillon and Odell Beckham. I think that's like the truly off the radar one, just because of all the uncertainty on it. An expensive one that I like a lot. I like Adam Thielen and George Kittle. That one looks good. I like Jamar Chase and Phil Hellmuth. That one looks good. Saquon Barkley and Devonta Smith is another one. So I have ones at different price points. And then I mentioned those Atlanta-Jacksonville ones that look all right too. Can you hit on the Titans values? I absolutely cannot. I refuse to. I just did the Fantasy Life Q&A, and every other start sit question was about Dontrell Hilliard. The people are fired up to play Dontrell Hilliard. This is a stay away game for me for DFS. I haven't found any of the value plays popping enough to be like, okay, let's just plug our nose and get the value. I'm just not seeing it with the Titans. I think this is going to be a very gross, low scoring, slow game. It's really hard for me to find any plays in that game I like. So I've X'd that game off. I wish I had Nick Westbrook-Akeen hot takes for you, but I just have to be honest. I have 0 takes for you. Other than that, I don't want to play that game. Jacob says, can't wait for Tilt Space after OBJ, one way or the other. Yes, Tilt Space will be live at 6 p.m. This is a another great slate for late swap stuff and for late games. I love, 3 of those late games. So hopefully we'll load up on those for Tilt Space and have some fun live sweats. You guys can join us 6 p.m. at ETR today. Barry Sanders, which, I'm in honor to have Barry Sanders in the chat, one of the GOATs. Why is Rex Burkhead not more owned against the Jets when he got 20 carries last week? I'll tell you why, Brady. Oh, Brady Sanders, not Barry Sanders. Brady, he's not owned because it is a Texans running back. That's why. People don't like playing Texans running backs. They have a low implied team total. People are worried about a split with David Johnson. I mean, Rex Burkhead honestly looks fine to me. Like, my thought was early in the week, I was like, oh shit, are we going to have to play Ty Johnson and Rex Burkhead? But now I'm just so much comfortable with a lot of the guys in the low fives. I like Henderson and Dillon. I like the Broncos guys. I like Miles Sanders. So I just don't feel the need to go dumpster diving with David Johnson, with Ty Johnson, with Rex Burkhead. I don't think it's horrendous. I would just be careful about playing too many kind of low ceiling running back plays. It is true. Nick says, I think I have a moral obligation to get a Visca share today. We do. Today is where you draw a line in the sand. You're either a Visca slappy or you're not. You're either a Visca stan or you're not. You either ride or die. You either have a LaVisca signed mini helmet at your desk or you put it on eBay. I mean, and I'm gonna have to set this right up on my desk. I'm gonna set it right on top of my monitor here as a permanent reminder to never forget LaVisca Chenault. Yes, I can talk about Debo. I think he's a great play. Right now, I'm seeing kind of surprisingly high ownership for him, 15%. He has been really efficient. Ayuk coming on has eaten into his, targets a bit, as has George Kittle. I think the concern for this entire passing game is, can this be an up-tempo back and forth game? I think when I was thinking through kind of the passing game stuff, I think you probably want like Vikings with a lead and then forcing the 49ers to come back. So like a Cook Debo or even Cook Ayuk, Kittle, like any of those kind of combinations, I think are viable. But Debo's a great play. They manufacture him touches. And I do think this is a good week to kind of hone in on, what are the 1 to 2 games that could just soar over their total. And most people are on Tampa Bay and Indy and LAC Denver for that reason. But I do think Minnesota, San Francisco is a candidate, along with Bengals Steelers is another one I like in that same vein, that could just be a potential shootout. And in those shootouts, I do think Deebo Samuel could easily be, one of the top scorers on the slate. I think that what's hard for me is Deebo at 7,900 is I like Kittle a lot. I like Ayuk. And then at that same price, I'd almost rather play Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, Mike Evans. Those guys look like they're going to come in a little lower owned. So that's the only reason I haven't been going out of my way to build Deebo Samuel, but he's a great play. He's a great play. Can we get Visca Slappy hoodies? That might be a lawsuit. I'll have to check with my lawyer, who I do not have. Let's see that. Your camera went out of focus again? What are you talking about? Looks fine, right? I think I'm going to have a Big Ben lineup today. I think I am. I think I want to play that game just as what if it's just a barn burner shootout. I like a lot of pieces of it. And if the Fryer hits, if one of Claypool or Deontay Johnson hits, like Big Ben is coming along for the ride. So I don't mind doing that at 5,200. He doesn't project well, even at 5,200. I mean, he projects fine. No one's getting excited to play him. But again, I think leaning into correlation on a slate like this, where we don't have just a ton of standout points per dollar plays, it is smart. So in that situation, I don't mind rolling out a Big Ben. Schmohawk says Thielen, Ayuk, Dillon can pivot to Thielen, Mitchell, Mike Williams, liking that. Yeah. There are a ton of late swap options in that late slate. So I want to give myself lots of options to play that. I want to give myself, like I said, the Aaron Jones news, the Eli Mitchell news, there are lots of dominoes that I think we want to be able to take advantage of. This is a super unique slate where not only do we not have the content hive machine rolling all week and, condensing chalk plays, we also have two really uncertain situations in the 4 p.m. So I do think you could really exploit some disproportionate ownership relative to how good of a play they are with some of these guys. And I would make sure that I have a couple spots, at least a flex spot available late. I mean, if you leave yourself 5,900, that gives you options for AJ Dillon, Darrell Henderson, Eli Mitchell, Jeff Wilson, so many different plays you can do. You can even throw in a Mike Williams, a Jerry Jeudy. So at the very least, I would keep a spot open in the flex there. Let's check out just kind of some of our optimal lineups over on Run the Sims here. See if anything else is jumping out to us here. Main 10 games. Why won't it let me? Oh, generate lineups, not download. Okay. So we are seeing a lot of Tyrod Taylor, a lot of Cam Newton. Nice to see some Jalen Hurts showing up here. Not seeing a ton of surprises as far as these optimal lineups are concerned. It definitely makes sense why James Robinson is going to catch a little bit of ownership. He's showing up a decent amount here. I do think this kind of construction of going like cheap running back to get up to Christian McCaffrey is going to be fairly popular. This lineup here, the top optimal lineup, what's interesting to me about this one is the Crowder play, honestly. And we saw that in the Sims. I mean, Crowder is projecting really well. He falls in that kind of salary dead zone. I'm going to need to think about Crowder a little more because anytime you can get a play that projects super well, that's also not going to be, popular. I think that's kind of an exploitable spot there. He's not exciting, but kind of warming up to the Crowder play as I look at this. You see a ton of Goddard here with some Gronk and Kittle sprinkled in. Actually a decent amount of double tight end lineups here, which I've been noticing that on a lot of these slates where pricing is super tight, seeing the double tight end stuff, Goddard, Gronk, Goddard, Ingram. So that's relatively interesting. There's a Goddard, Jared Cook. Just goes to show how well, Goddard and Gronk are projecting. You can see here the Houston Texans are going to be absolute mega chalk at defense. They just project too well at that price tag. But yeah, I like seeing a lot of Jalen Hurts in here. If his ownership is going to be what I think as, the 5th, 6th most popular quarterback, I think that's an absolute slam. I'm steaming your Crowder so hard. I'm sorry. I am so sorry. I am so sorry. How many people are we up to in the Deposit Kingdom League since I shilled it a few minutes ago? We're at 322. We're up to 366. We have 509 people watching, which means not all of you are in it. Who's going to come play on DraftKings? $10. Do not make me tweet it. Do not make me tweet it. Let's do an underdog draft. I was firing on some of these last night. What's it called? The leftovers, the turkey trot. I can't remember. Battle Royale, leftovers 3. Oh, wow. They already filled the leftovers too. Who wants to hop in one of these with me quickly? I was tilting so hard because I hit a 6-1 underdog pick'em on Thursday and I didn't tweet it out. The one time I hit a glorious pick'em and I didn't even get the clout of tweeting it out. So sad. Did you guys see Cal Spears's parlay on FanDuel? $280,000 parlay. I mean, just absolute king shit from Cal Spears. And then someone on Twitter said, you shouldn't be betting parlays. Not realizing that Cal has a bankroll to bet $1,000 parlays. All right, welcome to the Deposit Kingdom. Let's get it. What did I draw? The 102 here? Ooh, Willis. My guy Willis snaked the 101 from me. We'll see what he does here. Has the slate been turned on its head yet? I don't think this slate is going to get flipped on its head. If it does, it'll be at 4 p.m. or, the 3 p.m. inactives. Because even if Cordell Patterson doesn't play, I mean, there's really not a lot that's going to shift in the Falcons backfield. Or at least flip the DFS slate on its head. What did Willis do? Went JT? All right. I'll do, let's get Cooper Kupp. Probably not going to play him in DFS today, although this might be my only exposure here. We got Alejandro in here. Willis does always get the 101. Influencer 101 for Willis. Best GPP play for 5,300 on DraftKings. If I didn't know any better, Lewis, I would think that you built a lineup and you only have 5,300 left. And now you're crowdsourcing this final decision to the field. I think either of the Broncos running backs or Brandon Ayuk would be my preference there. Probably Brandon Ayuk if it's in the flex. Any love for Uzoma, Deontay Johnson minis? Not really. Deontay Johnson's going to be the most popular of those pass catchers for the Steelers. I kind of like Freiermuth and Claypool more. And then Uzoma, I mean, how much is Uzoma? Is he if he's like the stone minimum, maybe. But I love Chase and I like Higgins a lot. That I don't know if you need to do it. I don't think it's bad. It's just not my preferred way to attack that game. Fake news, Willis. You always have the 101. Just embrace it. What are we going to do here? Palmer, please let me take Justin Jefferson. I am begging you, Palmer. I am absolutely begging you to let me draft my sweet, precious Justin Jefferson. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Yes, do not play Jamison Crowder in your standard scoring GPPs. All right. I'm such a sucker for these. Is Kittle still available? Yeah, let's get Kittle. Get that. Oh, look at that sweet mini correlation in this underdog draft. Little Justin Jefferson, George Kittle mini. Higgins or Bateman, PPR. Now, I'm getting start-sit questions on my GPP show. Higgins. George, it was tough to pass on Jamar Chase and Mike Evans there. Oh, let's see. What else do we have? Coney Dog saying Teddy, Sutton, Fant, Mike Williams bring back stacks look nice. Yeah, someone was asking about that Denver Chargers game earlier. That if you want to play it unique, that's the way to do it. And again, it's a late swap thing. Like if you get behind, say you have a Charger stack set up, I think I would prefer to build with a Charger stack and then flip it to a Bridgewater or say a Jimmy Garoppolo if I were behind. Will there be a sauna stream today? I am thinking about going to the sauna today, right after lineups lock. I went to the sauna yesterday. 20 spots left in the DK GPP. Get in now or forever hold your peace. We'll be back tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. I'll review all those lineups. If you want a chance at glory, at infamy, win the Deposit Kingdom GPP, and I will review your lineup and I'll say things like, I never would have made a lineup like that, but nice job. No, you guys all build good lineups. Most of you. Are we just chasing Pittsburgh because they were in a shootout on primetime? No, we're chasing Pittsburgh because there's really clean leverage spots and they project very well. Freiermuth, Deontay Johnson project very well, and Herbert. Why am I trying to talk through this? I need a pick. I'm going to go with Michael Pittman. God, that was scary. I did a couple of these last night, and I got distracted, and I got auto-drafted Tom Brady with the 101. Can you imagine? But yeah, and I like the Bengals pieces as well. I think the pieces fit together nicely in that game. It's not like I'm a Steelers slappy, but I think with how much people are going to want to play Deontay Johnson as a one-off, the Pat Phil Hellmuth and the Claypool plays are really strong. What running backs do we still have available here? What quarterbacks do we still have available here? I don't really want to play Stafford. I don't really want to play a naked Herbert. I'm going to figure out quarterback later. I'm going to go mini here. We're going to get... No! I just got auto-drafted because my mouse... Whatever. I'll play Herbert. Naked Herbert. Don't do this at home. I hate this already. I'm so tilted. Gut says Cincy Pitts ends up as a shootout. Yeah, I was talking about this with Corain and Leone, and Corain's take was, I think Leone said this one on Establish the Million too, but 2 out of 3 games or 3 times is probably like a bit of a slog, a Najee, Joe Mixon game, and then 1 out of 3 times it's just an absolute barn burner shootout. So chase that shootout there. The nimble fingers were struggling. I scrolled. This is the thing. My mouse, when I scrolled, it scrolls too far with the roller. Probably going to play. I can't believe I'm playing a naked Justin Herbert. So I need him to throw 1 touchdown to Mike Williams, 1 to Keenan Allen, 1 to Jared Cook, 1 to Jalen Guyton, 1 to Justin Jackson. Easy game. Guys, I am not in the business of predicting shootouts. We are in the business of trying to see if we get paid off if there is a shootout. And I think it would be fairly easy to get paid off the way the field is going to play this slate if that game shoots out and you're on it. No, I'm running the mini here, the Fournette Pittman mini. All right. I'm going to check in real quick on my Owners Club lineups, and then we are going to get out of here. We are going to see if we get any news to flip the slate on its head. We are going to finish the newsletter, and then we will go to the sauna. Am I just going to tell you everything I'm doing for the next 10 hours? There goes my mini helmet. You think Henderson might get steamed with all this Stafford injury news, or they just get away from it completely? I don't think Henderson's going to get steamed. I guess the only dynamic I could see happening is if everyone builds with A.J. Dillon in their lineups and then Aaron Jones is active and people switch him to Henderson. I could maybe see that happening, but I don't think there's some like groundswell of support. And to me, it's like, I don't get more excited to play Henderson because Stafford is banged up. To me, that just lowers the entire ceiling of the offense. I think Henderson's a more exciting play when the offense is fully humming. Well, that's why I do it. I am here to be a reminder. Zakarian and I have been doing a weekly show on Fridays at 1. We're alternating doing it on my channel and his channel, the Team Hold One. We did a strategy show on his channel on Friday. We're going to do it this week on mine. Talk through a lot of the kind of dynamics with the Thursday games going. I'll show you my lineups. Please don't dupe me. The Las Vegas wide receiver put up 37 points on Thursday. So I am eating that. Otherwise, kind of trying to shoot for some high upside around it. I'm kind of picking my spots with what Thursday stuff I'm eating. I am going to eat Chicago tight end. But as far as the Thursday plays, I think Buffalo quarterback, Las Vegas wide receiver, Dallas tight end, Chicago tight end. I think those are all, viable plays. I'm not using Buffalo wide receiver, trying to shoot for a little bit more of a ceiling here. Also, Las Vegas Raiders running back had, I think, 21 points, but I think I can aim for a little bit higher upside. So doing my usual kind of correlation here, running out that Charger stack with Denver defense or Denver running back. And then down here, going to try a Green Bay stack here, and am using Buffalo tight end from Thursday, cycling through some defense here. I'm going to roll out the Dallas stack from Thursday in the side hustle. Figure that's probably a pretty good bet to cash, and then messing around with some other stacks. The Eagles QB naked, but with the Bengals wide receiver, I feel like that's a good pairing. as far as kind of being the inverse. So like the QB situation better in Philly than in Cincy, but like the wide receivers in Cincy more than the quarterback. Little Seattle stack here. Got my low ball rolling out Jags QB twice, rolling out Jets QB, a smattering of classic low ball plays here, and some island of misfit as well. So that's my TOC. Get out of here, naked HD girl streamers. Be gone, Satan. Thank you guys. I appreciate you hanging out. Thank you to the We Are Back Joe Holka crew for coming and joining us. Appreciate you guys. Be sure to watch Holka, Leone, and I on the Tilt Space at 6 p.m. tonight. Hopefully we will have a sweat for you guys. I just saw the tweet come through from Schefter. Cordero Patterson is playing today. So you are now free to roll out your Cordero Patterson and Visca correlations, your Patterson and Dan Arnold correlations. We are good to go on that front. If you guys want to get access to the Run the Sims Discord within the Deposit Kingdom Discord, the channel rather, you can sign up for Run the Sims. Send me a screenshot of your subscription with promo code Pete. I'll add you in there, or you can become a YouTube member. It is the Hand Builders and OptoBro tier. We have a lot of fun in there discussing plays, especially for showdown slates as well. If you have questions about that, feel free to let me know. Otherwise, good luck. We'll be back tomorrow to review lineups. Let's win a GPP, guys.